You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a draft and you know the core idea is solid, but you're just stuck. How do you get it to that next level to make it truly ready for publication? Well, that journey from a pretty good idea to a polished piece of scholarship can feel like a huge leap. In this explainer, we're going to break down the exact steps that took one academic article from a promising draft to a powerful, defensible argument.
Okay, this phrase right here, this is the goal. A mature article of publication standard. It's the benchmark that every single scholar is aiming for. It means your work isn't just done, it's ready. It's ready to join a professional conversation, it's ready for some serious scrutiny, and it's ready to actually make an impact. So what does a mature article really look like?
A publication-ready article really has three main hallmarks. First up, it's theoretically clear. It knows exactly where it fits in the bigger academic picture. Second, it's got to be methodologically transparent, which just means you're super open about how you got your results. And third, and this one is absolutely crucial, it's preemptively defended. It's like you're anticipating the critiques and you're addressing them before anyone else even has the chance.
So how in the world do we get there? Well, in this case, the whole transformation really came down to 5 key changes. This was the blueprint that took the article to the next level, and it's going to be our roadmap for the rest of this explainer.
So the process started by clarifying the main theory and then refining the methodology. After that, it was all about defining key concepts with real precision, making sure the overall perspective was balanced, and finally, just improving the academic flow of the writing itself. So let's dive in and break down what each of these steps actually looked like. First things first, you gotta strengthen the core. Every great argument needs a rock-solid foundation, right? In the academic world, that foundation is your theory and your methodology. This is where the really big, important revisions started. The very first step was to really sharpen the main theoretical concept, which was this idea of entangled history. So instead of looking at different historical groups like they lived in separate bubbles, this approach zooms in on all the messy, complicated ways they influenced each other. It's a huge shift from just comparing things to really analyzing that deep interconnectedness. Now, to really give this theory some teeth, it was combined with social network analysis. And this was a brilliant move. It takes that kind of abstract idea of entangled history and gives you a concrete method to actually map out and see those complex connections. It just makes the whole argument way more focused and so much more robust.
Now, on the methodology side of things, the big focus was on transparency, and 2 key changes were made here. First, the source type was specified for all the data. Second, something called predictive language was added. This just means using cautious words like approximately or it's estimated, which really helps build trust with the reader. It's a subtle way of saying, hey, here's our data, and here's exactly how confident we are in it.
Okay, so with that strong foundation in place, the next phase was all about polishing the details. This is where an article goes from being just correct to being truly compelling and actually readable. It's all about clarity, balance, and that sometimes tricky quality we call flow. One key concept that really needed to be nailed down was the German term Bildungsmigranten. Now, this isn't just any migrant. It refers to a very specific kind of person, someone who moves not for a job, but mainly for education or cultural enrichment. Getting this definition exactly right was absolutely essential for the article's argument. And why was that definition so incredibly important? Well, it was all to avoid the risk of anachronism. You know, that's the trap of taking modern ideas and slapping them onto the past where they just don't fit. By carefully defining this term within its proper historical context, the author basically defends the work before anyone can criticize them for using the term incorrectly. It's a really smart defensive play. And finally, there were several polishing touches. To make sure the perspective was balanced, the story was broadened to include Ottoman non-Muslim actors. To improve that academic flow we talked about, long, complicated sentences were simplified. And to make the whole argument easier to follow, the transitions between paragraphs were made a lot stronger. These might seem like small changes, but believe me, they make a massive difference to the person reading it. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? The whole point of this process is to turn your private draft, your ideas on a page, into an entry into a public scholarly dialogue. You're not just throwing facts out there. You are officially joining a conversation. Let's really break that down. A good draft, yeah, it has interesting ideas, but a mature article, it has defensible ideas. A draft presents data, but a mature article presents that data transparently. And look, while a draft just makes an argument, a publication-ready article uses that argument to engage in a much, much bigger scholarly conversation.
And that brings us to the final thought here. This isn't just about one specific article. It's a blueprint for improvement that you could apply to almost any piece of writing. So the real question to leave you with is this. Thinking about these 5 steps, from clarifying your theory all the way to polishing the flow, how are you going to use them to make your next project even stronger?